Hello again, Scorpio. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you to all my fellow Scorpions out there for sharing your comments and liking the videos. I really, really appreciate it, and I love you guys. This week, Scorpio, from Le Vampire, you pulled Faith, Trust, Unwavering, and Confidence. And then from Chakra Wisdom, you pulled Abundance. Now, the two of these are telling some very interesting stories here. Now, first of all, Faith from Le Vampire. The blessing here says that your faith returns and you feel a true connection and comfort in your choices and plans. And then working with this card says that if you have lost faith in a person, project, or humanity itself, it is time to examine the source of the faith. Know that it can be revived, and this time you may choose where you place this most beautiful and tender of faiths. Now, I really do think that you're having some faith return to you in the plans that you're setting for yourself. I think this is more about you having faith in yourself, in your ability to create abundance in your life. Now, abundance, I like the depiction on the card because it shows the two different sides of dealing with money. The inspiration for this card says, think about your relationship with money. Are you the wise girl or the foolhardy man? Money is naturally attracted toward appreciation and gratitude. The personal question says, be wary of using your financial situation as an excuse to avoid doing something. Are your thoughts and actions around money empowering you or disempowering you? The key ideas are about abundance through gratitude, releasing regret, being good with money. So I do think that for some of you, whatever it is that, you're doing that is creating abundance in your life, you're having a little bit of faith restored in it and in yourself, in not only being good with money, but being able to create abundance in your life. All right, Scorp, here we go. Here is the energy coming through. Ugh. Yuck. But it's funny because it makes sense to me. The Nine of Swords is your signifier, is saying right now that the way that you're thinking is not healthy. This is all the mental bullshit that you do to yourself. You're letting your thoughts run away with you. I just have this feeling too that it may have to do with outside influences. It just hit me just as soon as I was talking about thoughts running away with you. It could be because of allowing what other people say bother you. It could have something to do with it. But I hate it. I hate the Nine of Swords. I hate it. Immediately I get the image of sitting up in bed and not being able to sleep because you're just in a pattern of really bad thinking. And in the past, Temperance. And I really do hope that this is carrying through for you guys. And for me too. Temperance, as the past coming through, is talking about guidance. But more importantly here, it's patience, it's moderation, and it's balance between the way that you're thinking and the way that you're feeling. Scorp, I'm already getting a really heavy feeling around this, but I have a feeling that this may not just be you doing this to yourself. I think it's because of outside influences that your mind just starts going the wrong way. And in the present, yeah, yep. And there's the emotional backing. And that's not good. For some of you, if you're still dealing with some emotional suffering, it's leading your thoughts in a really bad direction. But, seeing Temperance above this, I really do think that, spiritually, it's like you're trying... Spiritually, something is trying to guide you into a position here where you start to get balance between this, because this is so imbalanced right now. The Five of Cups sucks ass. It sucks ass. It's depression. It's suffering a loss and feeling those really deep, hurt, emotional feelings. And your thoughts are just going nuts right now. But, this is just the present moment. Things can change, especially if some of you have lost faith in something. It can definitely bring up some emotional pain. Future conditions, the Page of Wands. Now, I'd like to see, this... Things are shifting around you. I just think that some of you are stuck in some really bad thinking and hanging on to some emotional junk that maybe you shouldn't be hanging on to anymore. Especially with Temperance being above all that. The Page of Wands as future conditions is really suggesting that there's going to be like some exciting news coming through. This is a new beginning for you to follow your passions. Maybe do some traveling. But there's this enthusiastic feeling around what's going to be coming. It's just you don't want to let your emotions and your thinking block any new opportunities that are coming through for you to be happy and to be excited about life rather than being like, ugh. Oh yeah, look at it. Your best path to follow, the wheel. So I really do think that things are going to start changing for you in a big way. The Wheel of Fortune, I've had some different experiences with this, but seeing this as your best path to follow it's beautiful. Things are going to start changing, and they're going to start changing in positive ways for you. And it's a new cycle. It's a new start where there's more room for passion and excitement rather than emotional pain and bad thinking. In your environment, the Ten of Swords, yeah, some of you have suffered, and I already know that this is true for me, but some of you have dealt with a really painful ending. The Ten of Swords being in your environment and seeing the Five of Cups as a present condition is really talking about you needing to release that because it is the ending of pain. Scorpio has a tendency to really hang on to painful things. And then you also have a tendency too, and I know this is true for me, of creating endings that really don't need to be there. But, you know, looking at that Ten of Swords and seeing the Wheel of Fortune, things are going to start shifting. I just think that for some of you, it may be a little bit hard to see in the moment because that's what Scorpio does. When you deal with painful things and you're dealing with difficult emotions, you need to go into the depths. Scorpio is different than any other sign. That's why they call it the most intense sign, is because we stay with these things until we have ripped it apart and completely understood it before we start hitting a rebirth. But, you know, the longer that you hang on to it, the more it's going to affect the way that you're thinking. And, you know, you certainly don't want to be carrying that kind of thinking if new things are presenting themselves to you. I just think for the losses that you may have suffered, you know, you're dealing with it in your own way. And it makes sense to me because, again, Scorpio needs to go through these cycles. It's who we are. It's how we understand the experiences that we have. We have to understand it on a very deep, deep level. But you have to be careful about sticking with it too long. Because, you know, again, you've got Temperance coming through here, which is beautiful to see. And I think there needs to be a return to that where there's a little bit more balance. Your hopes and your fears. The King of Swords. Now, and seeing the sword energy, you know, I was really hesitant to say anything about you dealing with a fire sign because I do think that for some of you it may be an air sign. And again, when I was speaking about outside influences and the way that you're thinking, it could have to do with an air sign. But I do see that King of Swords as a person being in the position that it's in. It's really saying to me that I have the feeling here that some of you may have been dealing with a painful ending or a painful situation involving a King of Swords. And this could be male or female. But it's almost like if you're still dealing with this person, I'm telling you, they care less about how you feel. Because when it comes to, you know, the King of Swords, it's not that they don't have emotions, but what I'm seeing surrounding him is saying that he doesn't really care about that when it comes to other people. You know, when you're looking at him in the positive side, he's like, okay, look, you know, you're letting your emotions get away with you here. It's time to start thinking a little bit more clearly. And definitely, if you're internalizing the King of Swords, it is a need for you to use logical thinking rather than letting your thoughts run away with you. But I really do think that this is a person who doesn't give a shit about how you feel. They can care less. And for Scorpio, that is difficult. It's difficult to encounter people who see things in such a logical, reasonable way, and they totally negate emotions. And I know, especially for me, the idea of being in the vicinity of somebody who has no emotions whatsoever terrifies me, because I can't understand how somebody cannot feel. But I do think that some of you are dealing with a painful ending involving somebody who has hurt you. But again, the Wheel of Fortune is saying that things are shifting, and then seeing that with the Page of Wands, and then Temperance again. It's easy to say that it's up to you on whether or not you let this person affect you. But the truth is, with Scorpio, when you have your emotions hurt, you're going to be dealing with it for a little bit. My warning here is, for those of you that I'm connecting with here that are dealing with painful endings, whether it's in relationships or just people in general that are in your life that don't give a shit about how you feel, you're going to be in this position where you're going to be dealing with it. And this is the internal. But when it starts to come external, you have to be careful about vengeance, I think is the best way to put it. Because Temperance is saying, no, don't do that. We need to stay calm here. We need to look at the news cycle that's going to be starting. Because this nonsense is going to be over with. Over with. And then the outcome. I'm telling you. For some of you, just be careful. I'm telling you, just be careful here. With justice being the outcome, yes, you're going to have justice. These things that are wrong are going to be amended. There's going to be fairness and major balance. Major balance for you. It's just right now, you're going through it. You're going through it right now. You have to go through this cycle before the new one can start. Because, it doesn't even matter with Scorpio. You could have a new cycle starting and you'll put it on hold. Like, okay, you're going to stay right there for a minute because I need to deal with this first. And then we can start doing this, right? Justice, though, and the Page of Wands. I'd like to think that you guys start to find a little bit more excitement in life and a little bit more happiness when you let go of this painful ending that I think has to do with a person. I do. Truly, I do. But those things will be amended. There will be fairness and there will be balance in your life. Damn it, there will be justice. However possible it's going to happen, damn it, there's going to be some fairness and balance. I just think that for some of you, it's going to be really difficult in the present moment. You're going to have to let this play out throughout the week and have faith that these things are coming to an end. And there's going to be much better things to look forward to for you. All right, Scorp. We're going to take a look at soul trees to see what else is going on here. But I'm glad that justice came out. But again, you can't be the one serving this justice. Let the universe take care of this, right? And possibilities. Page of Wands, hell yeah. New possibilities. The wheel is turning in your favor this time. And these painful things are going to come to an end. Prosperity, you're expanding yourself and your spirit and your mind. It's beautiful. I just think that it's going to be tough in the moment, but you've got some pretty powerful stuff coming through to guide you through this situation. And I really don't think that if this is a person that is causing these kinds of problems for you right now, with the position that he's in, whoever this person is, they're not going to affect you anymore. Pay attention to the red flags. The signs are cautioning you. Emotionally, you're going to know what's going on. It's just going to be a matter of whether or not you're going to pay attention to your intuition. I feel bad about this one just because I'm seeing the Ten of Swords, the Nine of Swords, and the Five of Cups. I do think that some of you are dealing with a King of Swords, and they may be making you feel horrible. But this pain is going to come to an ending. And if you guys are dealing with difficulties in relationships, yeah. You'll know. I mean, you know. It's just whether or not you want to pay attention to it. Man, I'm sorry, I feel bad that this is the card that came out for the couples, but it's coming out for a reason for some of you. But, you know, justice, again, these things are going to be amended for you. And you will have fairness and balance, especially when it comes to relationships. All right, Scorpio. So this one's rough just because I'm seeing all the cards that, you know, I really don't like seeing together, especially in a reading. Your focus is on your thoughts going in a really bad spot. It's causing some emotional pain, and then you have this painful ending. And I think a lot of you have suffered a loss that was not, I think, what a lot of you expected, but I do think that the universe is saying that this is the best thing for you right now, especially with Temperance coming through too from the past. And then seeing the Page of Wands, I really do think that some of you are going to be looking at newer opportunities showing up for you instead of painful endings, because again, with the Wheel of Fortune, things are starting to turn in your favor here. But I do think that this is a person. And, you know, seeing the cards that are surrounding him, yeah, it could be an air sign, but I look at this as a person who does not care about your emotions whatsoever and is like intentionally causing you unnecessary pain. But I really do think that this is going to be an ending of a cycle for you with this person. Now, if you're internalizing it, it's definitely a need for you to start thinking clearly and logically instead of letting your thoughts run away with you. But I think it's a person. Justice, though, being the outcome, again, you know, the big thing here is fairness and balance, especially in relationships, because of this being the card of Libra. Now, I do think that these wrongs are going to be amended, but I really do think that the big time message here is that you have to let the universe deal with this. You cannot be responsible for the justice that's handed out, because you're just going to get that right back in return. You don't want to go through this cycle again, because that wheel is saying that there's going to be a new shift happening where you're going to be looking at good things rather than dealing with the painful endings. There is a part of your life that is expanding. And I really do think that that expansion is going to be you cutting out the people who make you feel bad. But I don't think that you're going to do it in a really negative way. Now, prosperity and possibilities, and definitely with abundance, you need to be focused on that. Especially with the Page of Wands too. Because these are the new opportunities that you want to experience instead of those painful endings. Faith, you know, faith. Having faith restored to you, especially out of this kind of nonsense. Now, what bothers me here is, you know, I love the message for the singles when it comes to love. Make the effort. If you're meeting somebody new after a breakup, definitely make the effort, because it could be a very welcome distraction from what you may be dealing with here. Those of you who are in a relationship, this worries me. Pay attention to the red flags, right? Now, this isn't going to resonate with everybody. But for those of you that I am connecting with, you already know. I think that you already know. It's just whether or not that you're going to pay attention to your intuition on this. You know, for those of you who are happy in a relationship, maybe it's time for you to start looking at your partner and paying attention to them, because they may be unhappy and there needs to be, you know, communication between the both of you. But I can't help it. I have a bad feeling around it. And there's something I want to show you too. My husband made this for me because he very much now understands that this is what we go through, right? I call it sex, death, rebirth, but it is our life cycle. And the reason why Scorpio is meant to go through this is because we are the ones that truly understand pain. We understand pain, and it makes us understand happiness in a very different way. When we have happiness in our life, there is a deeper appreciation because of our deep knowledge and understanding of dealing with pain. It is our life cycle. We have to go through it. And it is so important here for you to remember that these are cycles that will continue, but you're looking at a better turn of events happening for you here soon.